All right, hey everybody. Instagram getting Katy on, so hang tight. People are joining, yay.
Hey,
Hello! Sorry about
hi.
that. Instagram
That's
just
all right.
crashed. Right when I was accepting you, Instagram crashed, and I
Yeah,
had to reload everything. So,
that's cool. It's totally cool.
welcome, welcome. Thanks
Thank you.
for really excited to talk to you. So,
Yeah,
we've
and
got
you.
people actively jumping on. So, let me do a quick, proper introduction. So, hey, everybody, my name is Mike McGee. I'm a director and actor in North Carolina, and I've been helping my friend out, Lauren, who runs RDU on stage, who's been doing a ton of content during the pandemic to keep the theater community engaged, as we all in the theater community are trying to do. And so she's, because I go to London a lot for my day job, she asked me to take on some West End interviews, which I think you're my fifth now, Katy. Yeah,
Oh,
that's very
cool.
exciting. And so I'm super excited to introduce West End musical director of Six the Musical, also the creator of Sunday Sessions, which we'll talk all about, and the music supervisor, excuse me, for Six UK and Australia. Don't want to leave that out.
So associate musical supervisor, but
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, associate.
Yeah.
Katy Richardson. Welcome, Katy.
Hi. How are
So
you?
I am excellent. So I usually start these off with a few pandemic related questions just to kind of get that out of the way, and then we
Oh
get
yeah.
on to more fun stuff. So the number one question is, how are you and your family? Are you safe? Where are you locked
Um,
down? How's it all going?
I am locked down in my flat in North London. My flatmate was here until like last week, but he's now gone, so I'm on my own.
Oh,
My family's at home and they're safe. I had it like 6 or 7 weeks ago.
oh, you
I
did.
think I caught it in New York when I was there to see Six open on Broadway. And brought it home with me. But yeah, I'm fine now.
That yeah, I had that on my list to talk to you about. So I was in New York that week also. Luckily, I don't think I caught it, although sometime I should probably go do an antibody test. But it was I know for me that's when the reality of the whole kind of situation really felt heavy to me. I mean, I had been
Yeah.
being careful and sanitizing and all that stuff, but the Wednesday night I had seen Six actually the night before opening night, and then all the sports leagues started shutting down, and I was like, what is going on? And then I was
Yeah.
supposed to see Beetlejuice on Thursday, and it all shut down, and I just like ran to the airport and said, I got to get home, I'm going. So how was it for you being in New York that week? And
Um, I mean, like the whole thing was super disappointing because like I'd been like the fact that we were even going to Broadway and then the fact that I was able to go and like it's obviously quite expensive to come to New York, and so
yeah,
like saving up for it, and I'd booked loads of theatre. I was supposed to be seeing Sleep No More and Mean Girls and Beetlejuice. But then I saw Moulin Rouge. I saw Moulin Rouge on the
okay.
Wednesday night, so I'm really glad that I got to see that because I had like at the time of my life, it's my favorite movie, so I was
Oh, is
like
it?
screaming, yeah. And then we were in. I literally had just gone to I hired a dress from Rent the Runway, and I just gone to their flagship to pick it up. And it was literally on the subway back to our hotel to get ready that we found out that all the Broadway had been shut down. And then I just got really scared, as did the girl I was traveling with. We were just like, I don't trust, Trump to not just ground all the flights. So we were like,
Yeah.
oh, let's just see how much it will be to fly home tomorrow. And we got a flight for the following day for like, I think it was $90
Oh my gosh.
one way to London. Yeah, it's like all the airlines had just slashed the prices because they were just trying to get people on the planes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it was supposed to be a week, and I was there for 3 nights. It was like a city break.
So you only got to see Moulin Rouge. I know we were talking about Jagged Little Pill on
Yeah.
Twitter, but all you got to see was Moulin Rouge. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good show
I
to
also
see.
had like the most incredible burger and fries.
Where was this?
So
Do you remember?
it's called the Diner.
Oh, okay.
It's
I don't
the
know that.
diner in God, where was it? It'll come back to me. I can't think
Uh,
where it was.
five napkin burgers, my favorite New York City burger
Oh
place.
yeah,
So
I'll remember
for a
that for
few,
next time.
yeah, for next time. What was the mood? I was so, I've been a Six fan for, I think I first saw it in October 2018. So I was super devastated for you all that night. I was like, why couldn't they just, you were like, it was like an hour before the whole thing was supposed to start. I was
Oh,
like, why couldn't they just let them open? What was the general mood? I mean, obviously it was disappointment, but how did everybody
um,
handle it, that night?
sorry, my cat is just yelling. If you can hear him,
I did hear.
please just ignore it.
I locked mine away, so.
Um, it was rough. That I like. There's no other way of putting it. Really,
Wow.
a lot of tears. everyone knew it was the right thing and was really happy that we weren't putting anyone in danger by bringing them into the theater. But it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was good. We all managed to, like, the creative team, both the US and the British team that were over, were able to meet for drinks and dinner instead, which actually made so much difference because we could be together. But yeah, it was really horrible.
Yeah,
but
I can imagine.
I think it would have been worse if the show had opened and then Broadway had closed the next day, because the reviews would have come out to no one being able to see it.
True. That's a good point.
So I think it actually is better.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So they get to kind of restart it and get a fresh start. And
yeah, because else it would have been really bad for the show, I think. Oh, my cat just wants to.
Oh, adorable. Feeling better? I heard he or she had a vet visit this
so
week.
So there's a cat in the neighborhood that looks almost identical to him and bullies him.
Wow.
And he was in the vet like 2 weeks ago because he had an abscess on his tail.
Oh.
And then he had to go in again this week because I woke up on Thursday morning and he jumped off the bed and just started limping. And I was like, so I mean, he's on a lot of painkillers and stuff, and he's not unhappy, like he's fine, but he's still limping. So I think he might have to go back.
That sucks. Thanks. Excuse my language. Pets are. I have 2 hairless cats who don't go outside, and I left the porch door open and found them sunning themselves by the pond this afternoon. So luckily they didn't go very far. So I was in quite the panic.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So I ask everybody this question. So just backtrack for 1 second. So I saw 3 shows while I was there that week, and I was shocked at how nobody was coughing the entire show. Whenever I've been in any theater before, people cough incessantly, and it was like pin drop silent. But I was shocked at how packed they were. I mean, the news was already starting to get a little bit busy, and every theater I went to was packed. I'd say 6 maybe had a few empty seats, but I was way on the side, so they weren't great seats anyway. So, but yeah, it was. I assume Moulin Rouge was packed.
No, actually, we were really surprised. Like, considering I bought tickets for Moulin Rouge in like December, and I got like the ones I could get, and it was almost sold out. There was like 8 rows in front of me where no one had turned up.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
so it was starting
so we
already.
moved forward, but yeah, it was really noticeable. And then it turns out they had an outbreak of COVID in the cast of Moulin Rouge because they cancelled their matinee on the Thursday before Broadway shut down, and then like. They've like the whole cast has had it. So we were like, oh, when we saw it, like half of them had it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah, I can't imagine I got out of that week without getting it or being exposed to it. So, okay, now I'm going to jump to the question I ask everybody. Have you watched Tiger King?
I watched like the first 2 episodes, and I haven't watched the rest.
Okay, that's fair.
Unusual, I think.
Yeah. You won't probably have an opinion on if Carol Baskin killed her husband or not.
Yeah, I don't really. I need to finish it.
and then Vicky Manser and Jody did Carol Baskin auditions for the future musical while we were on here, unprompted. But I won't put you on the spot for that. But if you want to music directed, I'm going to try to produce it.
Great.
A couple more quarantine questions. What's your go-to quarantine snack?
Probably chocolate buttons. Do you get them in the US?
Yes, we do. Yeah, I absolutely know what chocolate buttons are. Yeah. And what's your go-to quarantine drink?
Gin and tonic, which I am currently drinking because it is 9 p.m. here.
I'm with you. I've got a little drink in here too. So I usually bring one just in case, because who wants to drink alone, right? So
right. Also, it's the Eurovision Song Contest here. So
right. Are they still doing it?
Yeah, well, not really. They're doing like a broadcast, and it's basically like snips of the songs from the previous rounds, or like if they have a music video, they're playing the music video, and it's quite massive here. So there's like a Zoom party that I'm going to go back to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With drinking game, Eurovision drinking game.
All right, so let's get on to a little bit about your background. How did you discover music first? How did you get down the route of being a music director? What started you off?
Well, I started piano when I was 5. Like, I was just put in piano lessons. And then I played for a long time. My cat is going nuts trying to get outside. Just the background. Stop it! Please ignore the background noise. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
And when I got a bit older, I always loved theatre. Like, I remember going to see like UK tours and stuff when I was a kid. And I remember really vividly the first West End show I saw was Chicago, and I really, really loved it and had a massive. I remember watching it like and being like, oh my god, this is like the best thing I've ever seen. This is what I want to do, etc., etc. And that kind of really imprinted on me. I don't know if it's just with hindsight, but it did. And then so when I was in school, I did lots of choirs, lots of singing lessons, and then when I got a bit older, I started doing like a youth theatre at the weekends, and I actually wanted to be like a musical theatre performer on the stage, like a singer, actor, dancer to start with. I just did classical piano for the whole time, but when I was like 17 or 18, in the rehearsal I was in, for some reason the pianist didn't turn up, and they were like, oh, Katy, you can play piano, like, can you just play for this? And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. And I did, and I kind of decided that was better, I think, and sort of have been there ever since. And then I did music at university. I went to drama school afterwards to do a postgraduate like vocational course in musical direction for 1 year, and then sort of like launched into the freelance world, really. And
the rest is history.
Now it's done.
You answered one of my questions. I always ask, what's the first show? And I think most of us who do theater or love theater, we can vividly remember our first show, or the first couple that made a big impression. And I'm much older than you, and I still remember the first show I saw when I was like 7, 8 years old, I think. So which was Peter Pan with Sandy Duncan. So
that's a gorgeous one. I feel like Chicago is quite like,
it's a mature show. It's very mature. How old did you say you were? Like a teenager?
I think I was 13 maybe when I saw that. My first musical I ever saw was the Happy Days tour.
I didn't even know that was a show.
Yeah, I don't know I think it might have just been like, I'm not sure of the budget and scale of it. Like, I think my childhood brain thought it was the best thing ever, but I'm not really sure. I think I must have been 7 or 8 with that. And that was in Birmingham, which is near where I grew up. But the first West End show I saw was Chicago.
It's funny you say that. There was a thread going on Facebook with some of my theater friends about saying how they don't want to go back to the theater that they first saw their first local show in, because they know it's not going to be as big and glamorous as they remember it when they went to see it. So, do you play any other instruments, or is piano your main?
I can, but piano's kind of taken over my life, so I haven't. I don't remember the last time I touched one of my other ones. Like, it's probably years. But I used to play all woodwind, so like clarinet, saxophone, bassoon, flute, at school. But since piano just like has this way of taking up all of your time, so I'm not sure. I reckon I can still remember, but I haven't tried in a long time.
I'm sure you can. So what I'd say music directing is still a relatively male dominant industry, from what I can tell when I see shows, unfortunately. So as a younger female music director, was there someone you looked up to? Was there something that drove you to be a music director in an industry that is mostly dudes sucking up all the jobs?
This is the thing. I thought about this quite a lot, because I think that I think that's why Six is so important, because it's just representation. And like, I've had a lot of like young girls come up to me after the show, or parents of young girls, and saying like, this is what my kid wants to do now after seeing you do it. But when I was younger, like, I never saw anyone like me do it. I mean, I think part of that was I probably didn't really realize what a musical director was, because I wanted to be an actor. So I was like 18. But I was really lucky in that I come from a very matriarchal family, and also I went to like a really feminist girls' school. So I think like the combination of those things meant that I didn't really notice that there was a gender divide. I was just like, oh, that's what I want to do. There's no problem with that. But look, now having worked a bit, I'm like, oh, it really is a thing. But I think I just was blissfully ignorant of it when I was younger, which is kind of good, because I didn't get scared.
It is good. It's funny because I had to think about, because when I used to stage manage a lot professionally, and now I direct and act, and although I direct mostly plays, but I do a musical, and I've only worked with, other than one, only female music director. So my view was all these kick-ass female music directors that I've worked with, but yet that's not the reality of the situation. So as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about you as a relatively young female music director coming up. There's not a lot of names to look up to.
No, I didn't know any when I first started. Yeah.
Now, did you play in a bunch of pits before you became a music director, or?
I did a lot when I was younger. but I think because like my skill set is a lot about like listening to singers and working with singers and that sort of thing. Like and I'd say like I can play piano, but I'd say it's secondary to that side of things.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's why I just was always gunning for music director. I've done a few jobs as assistant music director, but I've never professionally done like keys 2 or keys 3 that doesn't also have a musical direction like responsibility attached to it.
Okay. What was your first job out of school? What was the first show you music directed?
I did an actor musician version of Dracula at Latitude Festival, which is a music festival here, but it also has like a big comedy, theatre and literature area of it. Yeah, it was that.
And how'd you get us? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
That's all right. I was going to say I was thrilled because I got a free ticket to the festival. So it was great.
Have most of the shows you music directed, have you played most of those shows, or have you?
Professionally, all of them, yeah. I'm yet to do a professional stick job. I would love to, but not yet. There's just not many shows around that are on stick now. It's kind of rare.
Yeah.
But here's hoping one day.
And then how did you get involved with Six? How did that get into your life, and when? So
I got involved with Six in May or June 2018. So it was the start of the 2018 UK tour, which everyone thinks of as like the Edinburgh Fringe version, but it was officially the first tour. And it's the most surreal thing. I got an email out of the blue from Joe Bayton, the musical supervisor, just saying, "Hi, we're looking for a musical director. You've been recommended. Are you free for a telephone interview?" Had a telephone interview, and then they were like, "Okay, cool, can you come meet the team?" And it was the following day, and I said, "I'm really sorry, I can't come tomorrow because I'm going to see Beyonce at Wembley." And I think basically Toby was just like, "She's the one," because of that. So yeah.
Okay, so you've been with the show from that early stage.
Yeah, almost 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. And how? So how much has it? So was the show already cast at that point? Was it the original?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't involved in casting the original London cast. They were already cast by the time I got there. I think I've cast every cast ever since, except for Broadway.
Okay, amazing. And so what was it like? When did you first realize the show was something special?
I remember quite vividly having this moment where so before I sort of said yes, they sent me through the score and the script and the like archive recording from the workshop, and I remember being sat in my garden actually just reading it along while I was listening to it, and just like getting to these lyrics that were just so funny and so clever and being like, this is really good. And so there was that moment, and then I had like quite a lot of availability that didn't work with it and stuff, and I was a bit worried. So I called my agent and I was like, I think this show's really, really good. I really want to be involved, but there's all these clashes. And the producers here in the UK were really, really gracious and allowed me to work around my availability, which was amazing. And then I remember being in rehearsals and watching Carrie Ann's choreography come to life and stuff, and being like, this is different, isn't it? And then but it also sort of came together all really, really slowly, like little bit by little bit, and everyone was working so hard that none of us kind of noticed that the product was finished, because we were all just like desperately trying to finish it. Like you never have enough time. Like you never feel ready for something like that. Like you're always trying to rehearse stuff at the last minute. And then it was like the first show at the Edinburgh Fringe, because we'd done the out of town tryouts in Norwich and Cambridge, and the reception was fine, but it was just like an out of town tryout. Like it's never amazing. And then when we were at Edinburgh Fringe, I remember finishing the first show. They get to the end of Six, hit the button, and the now famous Six pose with the arms, and the audience just went mental, like all stood on their feet screaming whatever. And I just remember really vividly, like me, the girls in the band and the girls in the cast all looking at each other literally like, what? And I've heard the cast girls talk about that in interviews as well, of that specific moment where we were all just like, maybe this is really good. It was so weird. It's like we'd all been working so hard, none of us had like stepped outside to look at the product. So yeah, I guess it was that moment, and then the whole of Edinburgh Fringe sold out.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when
And then
oh, sorry. Okay,
no, it's
sorry.
fine. I was just filling space.
I remember when I first saw it in October of 2018. It was getting popular, but you still could get a ticket like the day of the show.
Yeah.
And then I remember I've become friendly with Maya, and I remember saying to her, like, then I came, I come to London like I used to come to London almost once a month, and then there was one point where like there'd be 10 of us in the lobby, and then I went there and there were ropes in the lobby and
Yeah.
security guards, and I was like, when did this happen? When did this go
Yeah, it just
so
went
crazy?
mental.
It just went, and that was like around when you reopened in January, and then a few months after that, like March, March, April, like early 2019, where it just
Yeah,
seemed
I
like it
think
just
it was
took off.
I think it was the reopening. And I think it was when the Olivia nominations came out.
Yeah, it was.
And then also actually we performed on Britain's Got Talent.
Mhm.
And that was when it went crazy. That was when we got the security guard.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I remember him. He was fun. What, so you mentioned a musical supervisor. Tell us a little bit about what's the difference between a music director and a musical director and a music supervisor while you're kind of creating the show.
So the musical supervisor is my boss.
Yeah.
He's in charge. So his job, I think that how that job description is, the job title is used is slightly different in the UK than it is in the US.
Okay.
From what I can glean. But here, like, he is the direct link with the writing team. I work with them as well, but like specifically in the case of Six, like Joe was at university with Toby and Lucy, and he's been involved with the project since the start, so he knows it better than anyone except for maybe Toby and Lucy. So he's like their link of making sure that their intentions are carried out, but also like the nitty gritty, like he did the vocal arrangements, like he's the one, a lot of the creative decisions he would say, this is how I want the vocal to be, this is the quality I want you to maintain. And it was a collaboration, like we worked together all the time, and if we both bounce ideas off each other, but essentially if he said like this is what I need you to maintain, then that's dictating what my job is.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's like the boss, the music boss.
But he's not there day to day then. Well, I mean, I'm sure he was in the early days, but now he's not there day to day.
Yeah, and my title of like the UK Associate Musical Supervisor is basically like I look after the UK productions in that acting in his capacity when he's not there.
Yeah.
So it's almost like acting musical supervisor.
Yeah. So you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but tell me what it was like to be able to work with an all-female band and be up there on stage with a bunch of powerful ladies.
It's the best. And I didn't realize it was the best for a while because it felt really normal. And it's just the representation of it. And like, as I said, the number of people that have come up to us and said, like a 7-year-old girl, I want to do that now. I didn't know girls could do that sort of thing. But also like the gender musician balance in I don't know about UK in general, but in the West End is fairly unbalanced. Like the last time that MU did a survey, it was 90% male, 10% female. So purely the fact that we were there made quite a lot of difference. And also the thing that I was really proud of is that we never advertised that it was an all-female show, and we never advertised that it was an all-female band. It was never a thing. It was just like the curtain drops at the start, and then it was revealed that we were all female. And I know so many people, I mean, people obviously know it is now, but at the start when people didn't know what was going to happen, like so many people said to me like, oh my god, and the band's all female. Like I didn't know, and I didn't even notice until like halfway through, and I was like, well, yeah, that's kind of the point. So that was cool.
Yeah, I when I first saw the show, I came in knowing nothing about it. I just happened to like Google hot shows in London and stepped in that night, and that caught my attention at some point also, and loved it. I've got a lot of females in my life, so and as I said, I've worked with a lot of female music directors. So to see that band up there rocking it out is awesome and amazing. What's it like being on stage? I know there's a big trend right now with a lot more musicals putting bands on stage. Hadestown, Bands Visit, a whole bunch are doing it now. What's it like as a music director being on stage the whole show versus being tucked away in a pit? Do you enjoy it? Do you not enjoy it?
I love it. I mean, it brings a whole set of challenges, like purely with Six, the fact that you have to get in costume, and I've got like a full face of makeup to put on, and like the red lip, which like we've all got really quick at now, but like is annoying. But I love it. It's way more involved, and also like the rapport that we all build up with the cast is really
Right.
different to when you're in the pit. Like you're still sort of friends with them, but because we're physically on that stage with them every day, like we just know them way better. So yeah, it's really cool. Like it's really exhausting compared to being in a pit, because in a pit you can hide, but on stage you can't. But it's kind of given me like a new understanding for how hard the cast job is. So
Yeah.
that's cool, and that makes me do my job better, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I was thinking about that today too. You know, of all my music friends who are, wearing their grubby clothes into the pit, and you
Yeah.
guys have to be out there all presentable and all
Yeah,
made up.
like I used to on shows when I was in the pit, I would like not have a scrap of makeup on, like wouldn't have brushed my hair, like, and you just walk in. Whereas when I was assistant, like I'd literally walk in and sit down at 7:25 for a 7:30 person, and now it's like completely different story.
Well, I mean, you are. I mean, the girls interact with you a lot. The ladies interact with you a lot. You are characters in the show, although you don't
Yeah,
maybe have lines. You are. I've seen plenty of acting from you all up
yeah,
there on stage.
yeah. It's really
Uh,
fun.
what queen would you play if you could play a queen?
Now you see, like I really think that I'm a Catherine Parr, but Toby is adamant that I'm an Aragon.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna say Paragon.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I would want to be
Uh,
Catherine Parr.
from would you? That would be your why.
I just love her song. I think she's a lovely character. She has the message of the show, but I just love that song.
Is it a hard show to play?
Um, in parts it is. The piano part itself isn't the most technically demanding in most of it, but there are some corners that are tricky. However, there are a lot of patch changes. Like a lot. And also it's the cues. So like there's so much stuff that I have to control.
Okay.
The playing the piano is like the least of my worries.
Well, I
um
have.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Sorry, there's a delay. I don't mean to be cutting you off. I super apologize.
Oh, it's fine.
I was just gonna say I have some geeky music director questions coming up that my friend supplied me. So we'll ask some of those questions pretty soon, and I'll tell a backstory by that in a second. Uh, what was the biggest blooper you've had from a music perspective in the run of the
uh
show? I know one, but I'll see what yours is.
we've had a lot of stuff that's like tech going wrong, like click track firing on its own, or misfire. That's another fun one where it just doesn't go and you're like, cool. I have done most of the show wrong at some point, I would say. I think I played 500 shows, so
Oh my
like I've done
gosh.
a lot. I'm trying to think of like there's literally been so many. One time I literally like got to Heart of Stone, and this was like a month before the lockdown, so maybe show 470 for me. I got to the chorus of Heart of Stone. Luckily, it's when the band come in, so the piano's not very audible, and I literally was like looking at my hands like, if you said, Katy, I'll pay you £1,000 to tell me what the notes are for Heart of Stone right now, I could not have told you. Like literally was looking at my hands like I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is for 4 bars, and then it just came back in my brain, and I was like, oh, yep, I know where we are. So that was a bad one. Luckily, I got away with it because it wasn't a very it wasn't really a moment where you could hear the piano, but it was scary because I was like, I know it, but I just can't think of it. It was so weird.
I think all actors can empathize with that because there's been times when I've been on stage and I've said the same line 800 times and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know what I say now. I just don't
It's so
literally know
weird,
what I
isn't
say.
it?
It is so weird. Yeah, it's like your
And you're
brain
like,
is just like.
if someone literally was like, I will pay you to say this right, you're still like, I can't do it. Yeah, very
All right,
funny.
we have a question from we have a couple questions. Okay, do you mind taking a couple questions from some
Oh, sure.
folks? Let's see. Do you have any advice for reading sheet music? Is the first one.
Yes, and once you've learned the basics of it and you think you can do it slowly, that's the starting point, and that's a great point. To get to that point is you have to learn the music theory, and it's one of those really annoying things where there is no shortcut. You just got to do the lessons. And remember that it's all just a pattern. That's all it is. Once you've worked out the pattern, that's all it is. However, once you've got the stage where you can read the notes slowly, but you want to be able to build it up so you can read it fluently, like sight reading, there's one answer to that, which is really annoying, and that is just to do it every day. Do it for 15 minutes every day, and then all of a sudden it will just click. You'll have a light bulb moment, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I get it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, my friend, we're going to talk about Joe, my friend Joe, in a second, but she's been teaching some music theory classes, beginners, for those of us locked up, and it's been really helpful. And she's been, drilling that into our heads. How there's no easy way. You just got to memorize whatever
it's so
system
annoying.
you're going to use.
It's like learning a language. It's like, really sorry,
Yeah.
there's not a shortcut. You've just got to practice.
What's your, it's hard. What's your favorite song in the show? Your personal favorite song in the show?
I love Ex-Wives, but it's I Don't Need Your Love for sure. And if I had to pick a section, like in the score, it's 2 sections, and the second half where all the queens come in is called the remix, and that's my favorite. That's my favorite bit.
Awesome. I'm going to take a couple more questions because we have them. How do you get into musical theater bands?
It's a hard question to answer because there's a lot of different ways. I would say usually at your school, whether that's like high school or university, there'll be like a society or a club where you can play for them. That's a really good way to get into them because you are literally doing the same job as a professional is doing. It's just you're not being paid for it. It's extracurricular. So that's a really good way to learn the skill set. And also you'll get to know people that are doing similar things. And then after that, it's just kind of getting to know the right people.
I would say
cold emailing really helped me when I was starting out in my career, like a lot, way more than I thought it would. So don't be afraid to cold email, like ask someone to buy them a cup of coffee for advice, things like that. But yeah, I also think don't be afraid of like amateur, semi-professional work when you're first starting out, because you're doing the same job. It's literally the same. People look down on amateur dramatics, but it's the same. It's just on a smaller scale, so it's the perfect place to start.
But yeah, I've known musicians, it's a little bit more relationship building than it is acting, where acting is too, but acting, at least there's auditions where you can kind of go and maybe get lucky. Whereas musicians, it's kind of the music director knows people and reaches out to them.
Music, it's all secret. Weird.
All right, so I'm gonna call this section Music Directors Geeking Out. You ready for some very geeky? So let me just give you a quick backstory on this, and then we'll move on to Sunday sessions. One of my besties, Jo Lee, is also a kick-ass female music director, and as is her wife. And she was down. One of her jobs as a music director for Norwegian Cruise Lines, and she was and she was down in Florida music directing a promotional video for Six when the whole coronavirus. She had like five of the queens from the ships there, and she came home with coronavirus. So but anyway, she sent me some questions. So these are gonna be very, very nerdy questions. Well, the first question's not that hard. Well, how long did it take you to memorize the show?
When I started, I didn't have to have it off by heart. That wasn't originally a rule. I was allowed to use the score, but I had it off by heart by the time we opened in London the first time. So maybe 6 weeks of playing the show every day, but that was with me making no effort to learn it. That was just like me doing it. maybe not 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks.
Okay. And so do you trigger the tracks yourself through? She uses MainStage. I don't know if you use MainStage also, but
MainStage for the patches. We use Cubase for the tracks. We used to use Ableton, but we use Cubase now, which I think it's unusual that the MD triggers the track in the US and on Broadway. I think on Broadway, I think it's usually the drummer.
Oh, interesting.
But in London, it's almost without exception the MD.
Oh wow! And are the lights triggered off of you, or are they triggered off? Yeah. Okay.
Which when I first started, that was one of the things I was most scared of, because it's the first show I've ever done that's on time code. And what time code means is like you take literally, like when you take off a YouTube video, like 00100 to mean 1 minute. It's the same on the click tracks, except for it goes down to like milliseconds. And so all of the lights are taken off those from the click tracks. So every single light. There are a couple of bits in the show that aren't on track, and those lighting changes are also taken off me.
Oh wow! So you got a lot of power on there.
Yeah. When I first started working on the show, like I'm used to like the whole being in charge of the whole band and the whole cast. But when I found out I was in charge of the lighting as well, I was like, no.
And she asked, do you use a separate controller or is it off your keyboard?
So the for the lights.
Yeah, just in general, main stage, all the tracks, everything. Is it? I guess she was talking about tracks on this one. Sorry.
So the main stage, I have a foot switch.
Okay.
The next, so the keyboard itself is only the notes.
Okay.
There are a couple of bits like in the scene before Holbein, where the notes trigger like a sound effect, but in the score that's just written as like play C. It just so happens that at that point C is programmed to play a sound effect. The lights I don't physically operate, but when I say I'm in charge, I cue them. Like if I nod, the lighting operator presses go.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Are the breakdown of the harmonies the same from cast to cast?
The harmonies are the same, but I believe the way they're split isn't the same.
Okay, I think that was her question. Yeah, she had a debate with some of the cast on splitting the harmonies.
Yeah, so in London, in London the split is what it is, but I think every other production is just split however the voices suit. Yeah,
that was her question. She had a debate. All right, couple more, and then we'll move on to Sunday sessions. Do you guys? Is everyone on their own personal mix that they can control, or does sound control it for them?
So the whole band are on their own personal mix that we can control throughout the show, and I constantly change it. The cast are on their own personal mix, but sound controls it. So what happens is in tech and through their first few shows when they join the company, they have their personal mix adjusted until they're happy with it, and then after that it's loaded every day, but they are not able to change it on stage. But it is personalized to them. It's just like done in advance.
Okay, one more. I'll give you one more. The background vocals for Heart of Stone, does the cast stagger breath on their own, or are the breaths determined precisely?
That's a really good question, because we just changed that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when we put in, at cast change, actually, we changed it. So until cast change in October, it was just a general stagger, and they were in charge of staggering on their own. But when the cast changed in October, Joe made the decision to change it, so now they all have a breath point. Okay,
cool. Yeah, I think it was Jody was mentioning on her song that there was no real breaths built in, and Toby said, "Yeah, I forgot to write them in at some point."
Yeah.
All right, so let's. I don't want to keep you. We're running late, so I want to talk about Sunday sessions a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so thank you for everybody for bearing with us, because that's what you do for your besties. You tell music director, you ask music director nerdy questions. So
no,
I
it's
didn't even
cool. I love the nerdy questions.
I didn't even understand. I didn't even understand most of them. So so tell us a little bit. So Sunday sessions started live. Tell us a little bit about how Sunday sessions started originally, and then we'll talk about what you're doing now.
So Sunday sessions started as this thing that I came up with in like October or November, basically just for fun. I don't really know where the idea came from, but I'm really privileged to work with like a group of the most ridiculously talented girls, but we only get to hear each other. Well, I say they don't hear me. They all only get to hear each other sing one song a night, and they're all really amazing at that song. But like the reality is that they're all really amazing at everything. So I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to do something else. And I don't know where the idea came from. I think I like had it in a dream or something. And I was like, so girls, if you're up for it, this is what we're going to do between shows on the Sunday. And because we have quite a lot of double show days on 6, it's like it's good to find stuff to do in between. So we do yoga on Saturdays, and then on Sundays we do Sunday sessions. So and the first week I was like, right, I'm just going to pick songs that I think you'll all know, and I've got the sheet music for, and just chuck them in this hat. And yeah, so we took it in turns. I'd go on Instagram Live, they draw the song out of the hat, have a go at singing it. Really funny, but also like it just created this amazing atmosphere because they all are so supportive of each other. They get to hear each other be amazing, because they're always, without exception, like ridiculously amazing. And it's just this like amazing, really supportive thing, and we all loved it, so we kept doing it. But it really relied on being able to be in the same room as each other. Yeah. So now the theatres are closed. I was like, oh, I wish there was a way to do that. And And I spent, because at the start of lockdown, there's loads of videos released, like the original Broadway cast of Hamilton released that video. Like we sang this on Zoom, but you can't actually do it on Zoom because as we're experiencing right now on this Instagram Live, like the delay is too much. Like you just can't do it. So, and then I worked out that Hamilton original Broadway cast, they just recorded it and then edited it together to look like Zoom. And I was like, okay, so we're going to have to do that. And then obviously at the moment, like, a lot of us that work in the theatre are finding ourselves out of work and in a lot of cases without income. So I was like, right, then there's a way of linking all these things together. So that's what I've done.
Awesome. And so you have the first week coming up. So you have the first week coming up with Millie, Natalie, Courtney, and Luke, right?
Yeah.
You still have one more song to pick, right? Millie hasn't picked her.
Yeah, Millie's tomorrow. So Millie's like the first one we're doing in real time. So because tomorrow's Sunday, and for the rest of the time it's going to be 6 p.m. UK. We're gonna draw the song on Instagram Live, and then we go off the live. I have to record the backing track straight away in one take, send it over to the guest. They have to record it, them singing it to my backing track straight away in one take, send it back. We edit it together, get it uploaded. And then the idea is that they're released at 7 p.m. UK. So it's an hour to record all of it and upload. The thing we found is since everyone's working from home, internet speeds, particularly in London, are very slow. So I don't know if we'll make bang on 7, but we will upload them straight away and it'll just be upload dependent. So yeah, Millie is the first tester in real time because I'm actually drawing her song at 6 and then go upload it for 7. But because of the launch week having 4, I did Courtney on Thursday, Luke on Friday, Natalie today. They're all recorded and done, and then Millie tomorrow. So they'll be all up at 7.
Yeah, to your point of the live stuff, my friends and I have been joking that this is the time for sound engineers and video editors to shine, because most of that stuff is everything you see that looks zoomed and live and all that stuff. Most of it is pre-recorded and zoomed together later, because there's just no way. I did a little virtual concert with Maya, and that was my biggest fear, was that on Zoom, and that was my biggest fear. Now she had her own track with her and all that stuff, so it ended up working out really well. There are some things that you can do to tweak it, but overall it's not the best platforms for doing live stuff. Yeah,
someone needs to invent it. They'll make thousands.
I know a lot of the one probably good thing that's going to come out of this is there's going to be an influx of technology and things like that to support maybe some of this stuff continuing, like virtual teaching and virtual things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's right now it's £5 until tomorrow, right? Is that right? £5 to join, £5 a month, and tell us a little bit about how we signed up. And
so the intro offer is £5 until tomorrow at 7 p.m, which is when the videos come out. And then if you join up in that time, it's £5 per month for as long as you want to be a member. You can cancel any time, but your offer won't go after tomorrow, if you see what I mean. And if you go to sundaysessions.live, that's where you can sign up. It kind of doesn't look like a website, but it is. That link will take you to the website for Sunday Sessions, which will then, when you decide you want to pledge, will then redirect you to a Patreon, which is the platform that we're doing the subscriptions through. And then the videos will be posted to Patreon. And then you also will be sent a link to join the Sunday Sessions community, which is a Facebook group that's only for Sunday Sessions members, where you can all chat to each other, but also from next week you're going to be able to influence the songs that are added to the shortlist.
Awesome. I am a member, so
I saw that you were.
I'm looking forward to. Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to number one, support the arts, and then number two, to see all this stuff. So you're gonna have one person a week. Any hints of who may be coming down the road? A little sneak peek of.
Well, there's some familiar faces. There's some people that maybe were a founding member of the original Sunday Sessions, but are no longer in Six the Musical.
Wonder who that could be.
And also some like really exciting people that are nothing to do with Six, just because I was trying to get West End stars, want to open it out for everyone, hence why we had Luke. And I was at college with Luke, which is why I asked him. But there's loads of other people down the line that are completely new, have never done it before, are mildly terrified because they don't really know what they're doing. It should be really cool.
I mean, that's the one benefit of it, is it's expanded beyond the cast, so that if there's any, you look for the little glimmers of good news out of these whole situations. Well, if the chat is anything indicative. It is buzzing on Sunday sessions. The last like 20 or
Yeah.
so messages have all been about excitement for
Oh yeah,
Sunday sessions. Yeah,
yay!
it's
I'm
going
excited
crazy.
too. It's
Some
really scary
suggestions.
though, you know.
Get Maya, get Amy Atkinson, and I'm sure she's talking to all these folks. Maybe, right? Do you have time for a couple more questions?
Absolutely.
You also teach, right? Is that
I do, yeah.
part I saw on your CV? So you have what advice would you give young? You teach singing or vocals, or do you teach music directing or
I,
playing?
I I coach vocals and I like doing
Okay,
audition and repertoire prep, but I don't teach vocal technique.
okay,
Just because I don't really have the professional expertise in technique specifically,
okay.
further than like knowing my own. But yeah, I teach. My specialism is audition and repertoire coaching, so that's like choosing the right audition song for an audition, choosing the ones that suit you, then preparing those for an audition situation. Yeah. I love doing
Cool.
that.
What I obviously MDing a show that's 9 performances a week and super is stressful and intense. What's any vocal health advice for performers? I assume you have to talk to the cast about that quite a bit.
Yeah, the main one is don't after if you're ever going on a night out, or for example, I always say to the cast after a show, if you're going to a bar or whatever, that's totally fine, but do not sing along with, like in the club, do not sing along with the songs. That is number one. Because I know I do that, and then I wake up the next day and it's the voice is gone. And just drink loads and loads and loads of water.
Water, yeah.
Yeah, they're the two main things. And just be really aware of not overusing your voice. Like if the cast of 6 have to rest their voices as much as they possibly can in the daytimes. It's just a reality of being in a show as demanding as that. And for most people, you don't have to take it to quite as an extreme level, but avoiding shouting, avoiding whispering are kind of the main things you can do, really.
Avoiding whispering, is that what you said?
Yeah, because whispering is just as bad, because whispering sends air through the folds even when you're not using them, so all it does is dry them out.
Oh, wow. I
So you're
never knew
better
that.
off just talking, because talking doesn't dry them out, and yeah, it's a little bit of work, but it's like walking. If you were warming up your legs, like it doesn't do loads of damage.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Have you been able to continue teaching virtually during this crazy time, or?
Yeah, we're all sort of getting to grips with it, really. The teaching
Yeah.
teaching on Zoom. I've worked out that I have to like record a backing track for them in advance because I can't accompany them live. It kind of works out quite well for the students, because then they have a backing track which is theirs and
Right.
they can use. So to start with, I was really apologetic about that, and then I was like, no, actually, that's quite a big positive. So yeah, it's good. I'm hoping to do more than I am, but I think money's just tight for everyone at the moment. But yeah, it is really fun, and the thing that's really nice about it actually is because I've already recorded the backing track. When they are singing, my entire attention is focused on the singing.
Right.
Rather than the
Yeah,
playing.
that's true.
So that's a really nice thing about it.
That's a good point. Yeah, where you're having to bang out the notes, usually you can just listen.
Yeah.
And what's
Yeah,
what's the hardest part of being a musical director?
Probably there's 2 parts that are hard. Learning a new show is really hard. Like, I forget that at the moment I know the show so well that the aspect of leading the show is really easy. But when I started, that was not the case. And I was nervous before every show for probably a few months, like,
Oh, wow.
because it's just so much pressure, and everything relies on you as the musical director. Every department is watching you and everyone is trusting you, and it's just a lot. So learning the new show is probably the hardest aspect, but also you're in a leadership role, and it's essentially a management role, and I think actually that's a lot more of the job than even the music is.
Okay.
And so it's kind of keeping up on that side of things always. Like as a manager and a leader, you can't ever let that slip. You have to always be on your A game. So probably doing that is that's the most tiring part. I wouldn't say I suppose it is hard. It's definitely the most tiring.
Well, yeah, stress can be tiring too, right? So
Yeah,
being stressed out about stuff. Do you have a dream show to music direct?
Now, I have to say, having seen Moulin Rouge, I was literally like, I was living, and I would love to conduct it. It's just the funnest thing musically. It's the funnest. But I would love to just like have a go at Hamilton, because who wouldn't? But I would also just one of the old greats, like West Side Story. I think that's probably every musical director in the world would say the same thing. But I think, I think it would take some beating, that one.
What's I know you probably don't get to see a lot of shows, but what's your favorite West End show right now that's not Six?
Now before working on Six, I used to see everything. I'm trying to think what I've seen. You know what? I loved Mary Poppins. I thought it was so charming. And I haven't seen it, but my friend directed it, and I should have seen it, and I know I will love it, which is Anne Juliet.
Oh, you will love it. If you love Moulin Rouge, I personally think it's better than Moulin Rouge myself. So,
well, my good friend Luke directed it, and when he found out I hadn't seen it yet, he was so cross. I saw the workshop, but I haven't seen it yet. In the theater.
I interviewed Grace earlier on, and I said that I didn't really want to see it because, just not that I didn't want to see it, but I just wasn't that like excited about seeing it. Like another jukebox musical. Okay, blah blah. But I went to see it because Grace was in it, and then like within 2 minutes, it had me. Like the book's amazing. The book's even as good as the book's amazing in that show. It's just so clever, and I love that it touches on some. It's okay. Like I said, mine would have been climbing on me. That's why I locked them up in their bedroom. But I just love that it touches on social issues. But without because not everybody. Those of us that are in theater are usually more liberal and can handle things, but a lot of the general theater population maybe can't handle stuff in their face the whole show. But
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm trying to be polite. But it kind of subtly touches on some serious challenges for people in the world, and just the representation of all body types and colors and all that stuff is just you'll love it. And I think you'll love Jagged Little Pill too. Jagged Little Pill's amazing.
I also had tickets for that.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah. My friend's in it. She's in the ensemble and plays a few roles in it. And I've seen it 3 times, and it's just, I like I said, the Lauren Patton You Ought to Know is one of the most amazing theater moments I've ever experienced.
The British casting team for Six saw it the night I saw Moulin Rouge.
Okay.
And then we saw each other at the drinks that wasn't the press night party the next day. And they were just like, Katy, you have to see it. They wouldn't shut up about it, and I've spent so much time with them. We know exactly what each other like just from casting people.
Sure, yeah.
And they were they just said it's the best thing. And her performance, they were she had a standing ovation at the end of the song, and they were just I couldn't stop. I had to sit in the theater for 15 minutes after the show finished, and I need to see that. I really hope either I'm back in New York so I can see it, or it comes here.
Yeah, another show which touches on a lot of social issues, even more than Anne Juliet. But again, well, no, that show's not as subtle, but it's stuff that needs to be said. So sometimes you don't have to be subtle with things that need to be said. But yeah, Lauren Patton's moment in that show. My wife, who's not a huge theater person, believe it or not, was leapt to her feet before I could even she was on her feet in 2 seconds after Lauren Patton finished singing. Amazing. Okay, so we're getting towards the end. I usually finish with a this or that. You up for a this or a that? Okay, no substitutions, and you have to pick one. Right,
God, I'm really indecisive. Yeah.
Okay. Vicky got halfway through and said, I just answered things I would never answer that way. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, here we go. Chocolate or vanilla? Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Dog or cat?
Cat.
Call or text?
Text.
Me too. Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Absolutely. Coffee or tea?
Oh, I think I have to say tea.
Oh, you're the first Brit of 5 that has said tea. I've been shocked by that one. Yeah. Beer or wine?
Oh no, that's hard as well. I think wine.
Wine. Okay, that's fair. Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Lake or ocean?
Ocean. I miss the ocean.
I miss everything right now, to be honest. Are you binging anything on Netflix right now?
I'm watching actually Modern Family again.
Oh, awesome. That's a great
Yeah,
one.
I've seen it before, but I'm watching it again because
Yeah.
it just got added. What did I binge? Binged Hollywood.
Hollywood was amazing. You know, it's based on a true story.
Is it? I was just like,
That
oh, wouldn't that be lovely if that was real?
So a lot of the story about the movie and all that stuff wasn't real. Well, there was a movie, but the gas station, the service station, that was all true. There really was
Oh,
a service
really?
station that acted as a front for prostitution. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
And
and I mean,
Rock
a lot of those
Hudson
people,
was a real person as well, right?
all the people were in their names were real, and Rock Hudson was closeted, but he never. I don't think he ever came out in real
Right.
life. So there was things like that where they took some liberties. But yeah, based on a true story. All right,
And
we're
I'm
up at the
also
hour.
currently
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
binging Fosse Verdon.
Oh, I haven't started. Oh, I heard that's great. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah, I haven't.
It's really good.
Yeah. Oh. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. I took
No
you away from your Eurovision party. So everybody follow Katy and give us the website one more, Sunday Sessions.
It's sundaysessions.live.
Sundaysessions.live. It's going to be amazing. And thank
So
you so
excited.
much. Great to see you. I can't wait to be staring at you on stage again at 6 at some
Oh
time.
yeah, I hope so. And also, I just wanted to say to you, thank you so much for sending us Ben's cookies. I cannot tell you how much it is appreciated.
No problem. It's the least I could do when you guys are up there busting your butt up there for.
We get so
What's your
excited when it's Ben's cookie day. We're like, yes.
That's funny. You're giving my secrets away. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you, and have a great
Thank you.
evening. Take care. Bye, everybody.